Hey, it's your favorite local realtor, Eren Millam with Premier Property Group. Today, we're going to be reviewing a video entitled, Should You Wait to Buy a House? The housing market just got worse. And with all these videos, we'll see, are they giving you actual data? Are they giving you factual data? And are they actually trying to sell something? So they're using data analytics to sell you something rather than giving you the actual facts on the ground. And let's take a look here.
All right, so so the housing market, all right, this slow moving, at times completely stagnant market, usually boring, but not today, not recently. Recently, things have begun moving again, all thanks to big money investors who are now trying to cover their bets. Like we said would happen, by the way, pushing real yields to their highest level now since like 2005, and by doing that, it's begun to shake things up. And they're not done rising, by the way. It's just the beginning. Over the coming months, we should see them continue to climb, which means once this cycle passes and they peak out, that's when things should get interesting. You see rate cuts come only when the Fed really believes that they've gone too far, crossed the Rubicon. Once the economy reaches complete instability, then they cut, and they cut bigly. Now, it's estimated that that point won't come until early to mid next year. I personally think it may be a bit sooner, but I hope I'm wrong because we really need to see this continue. Longer is better, better meaning for a real recalibration of home prices to occur. Now when that happens, unemployment will be much higher than it is today. That's just a given. It's unanimously agreed on by the Fed governors that unemployment will rise, must rise. So it's plausible to postulate that when cuts finally arrive, it could give an opening to all these newly unemployed homeowners to see an opening to sell their houses, thinking it's a good time to list, and could be when we see inventory begin correcting. Now, obviously,
Okay, so if I understand him correctly, he's saying that right now the housing market it's artificially being held up by uh big business coming in and buying up property. So I really haven't seen any of that in our area. Um, Granted, people with money are the ones who are buying property right now just because interest rates are so high. But what he's saying is once they finally start breaking the market and people are getting laid off, then they'll switch the interest rate. I saw an article the other day that we have the most job openings in like the history of the world or something like that. So I'm not sure where he's getting that stat. I mean, I understand what he's trying to say, but the reality of the situation is that there are a ton of job openings, and if you start laying people off, there's still other people who can fill it. I just don't understand why they think that there's gonna be these big layoffs with there's a bunch of job openings. It doesn't make sense. The supply and the demand is the the supply outweighs the demand in the job market. In the housing market, the demand outweighs the supply. Let's keep listening.
it's just speculation, but it's probably what the Fed's hoping for. Now, in the interim, it means things just got much, much worse for home buyers. This is not the time to buy a house, folks. If I had to buy or wanted to buy right now, personally, I'd wait at least until the Fed begins to pivot, right, early next year, because once they cut fast. That's what we've seen them do repeatedly. But right now is like the worst possible time to buy. Not hyperbole either. It really is the worst time in history to buy a house. Take a look at this new Blacklight report just published. They go into how nationally home prices.
What he's saying is it's the worst time in history to buy a home. Um, okay. I mean, prices are high, interest rates are high. I'm not saying that's not the case. However, whenever you have someone telling you not to buy, it raises a red flag. And the reason why I say that, granted, I'm a realtor, I like it when people buy houses, but this isn't necessarily if you buy a house, you're going to use me. There's lots of agents out there for you to use. So I'm not trying to sell you something. But real estate is the number one investment tool that has created more millionaires than any other tool of investment. So if you are telling someone not to buy a house, it should be because they can't afford it, not because the timing is not right. Because I mean, you should be doing everything you can to get out of the rat race, and into a home because then you're building equity. What we saw for June is the average price here in Lewis County went up $55,000. So if you had bought in May, now your home is worth $55,000 more. That's 1 month, and now you have $55,000 more value. If you're renting, you probably just paid 15,000, or sorry, 1,500 or 2,000, right? And now your landlord, he gets paid, and his equity went up where you lost value. So if you're going to say don't buy a home, it needs to be more than just it's expensive right now, because buying is always going to be expensive. It's a long-term play. So I guess we'll see where he's going.
Rose a bit in May, which we all knew would happen. We've been expecting it, being it's the spring selling season. But take a look at this. What we're looking at is the national payment to income ratio, how expensive it is to buy a house right now. This isn't just home prices though, right? It's the cost to enter homeownership. Home prices and mortgage rates together pushing the payment to income ratio close to an all-time high. Here's what they write about it. After a modest improvement in early 2023, home affordability has worsened in recent months, fueled by both rising home prices and rising interest rates. As of June 22nd, with 30-year rates at 6.67%, it required $2,258 per month in principal and interest to make the monthly payment on a median priced home with 20% down and a 30-year mortgage, the highest such payment on record, marginally higher than the $2,234 required back in October. They go on. Now listen to this. Here's what they write. Factoring in current income levels, that means 35.7% of the median household income would need to be allocated to the monthly payment of a median priced home, making.
All right. I just want to say that kind of proves the point that I was just trying to make. So in October, it was roughly the same amount of unaffordability, whereas in October, the average was around 410,000. Now it's up to 470. So your payment was similar, but now you've got $60,000 of equity in a short period of time. There's no other investment other than the lottery that was going to make you more money. So it's expensive, but that's how we make millionaires in the United States.
June, the second least affordable month in the past 37 years. It would take a 30% drop in home prices to get back to normal affordability. Or alternatively, if prices stayed the same and rates fell to 5%, it would take 19% income growth to get us back to normal. So anyone who's saying that home prices won't fall, it's the time to buy right now, I have a bridge to sell you. Now look at this chart. This is the cost to buy your average home right now.
Okay, so he is selling you something. He's selling you a bridge. So I'm not saying that prices won't fall. Obviously, they ebb and flow, but everyone who's saying that prices are going to fall, there's no timeline that they give you for them to fall. So they're always going to be right. Now, we had from June to December last year, the market lost about 10%. And we've been going up from December through now. Obviously, it's kind of been going like this, but it's going up. So if someone tells you it's going to fall, they need to tell you when and how much. Otherwise, they're just guessing. Okay, and I know a lot of this is guessing, but you can tell by the numbers roughly what's it going to do based on the supply and the demand. I've been saying for a while now, I don't believe that the market is normalizing. I think it's a powder keg trying to go off. And one thing is going to set it off, boom, it's going to skyrocket. So we saw a little bit of that in June. If the interest rates keep going up, it's going to hold that down. But once those interest rates come down, we do not have enough inventory for the demand still. So the homes that are on the market, if they're priced correctly, are getting multiple offers still. Okay, so our price is going to fall. It's not likely in our area. I don't expect to see a bunch of big increases in the near future. Obviously, it's going to keep going up because the demand. And in the fall, demand wanes a little bit. So prices may smidge down a little bit, but not like a crash. Everyone is saying there's a crash coming, and it's not. Maybe in your area it is. Maybe it's already happening. But in Lewis County, we have not enough inventory and we have way more demand. So the crash is not coming for Lewis County. It already happened. It's not coming. Okay.
This is quite literally the worst, most expensive time ever to buy a house, significantly worse than it was during 06, during the last housing bubble, which means you're a home buyer right now. Be careful, all right? Don't get fear of missing out. Don't get bullied or suckered into going forward by your realtor. We hear it often, even in some of the comments on these videos. We have realtors who say, stop waiting and just buy already. Look, here's what I say.
Okay, so I agree with that. Don't get suckered into buying a home that you can't afford. And obviously you shouldn't be afraid and like freaking out. But at the same time, if you're not thinking about it, if you're not actively trying to find a home where you can build equity, put down some roots, then you're losing money. And it's not just the money you're paying out each month, but you're losing out on those equity gains. I mean, what does he think is going to happen in the next 10 years? Does he think it's going to keep going down and down and down in the next 10 years? That's not what we see in the real estate market. Obviously, typically we don't see these huge gains like we've been seeing the last couple of years, but over time, real estate goes up. So as long as you're in a home more than 5 years, it's more likely than not that you're going to have a massive amount of equity. And let's say you're in a home right now and the interest rates go down. Okay, you can refinance, lower your payment, and you're still building equity. So it is a very good investment tool. And anyone who tells you, no, it's expensive, that's why you shouldn't do it, either they're not informed or they're trying to sell you something. So we'll see. He just was saying that he's going to tell us something, so we'll see.
Right? If you really do need to buy right now, lowball the shit out of the properties that you like. But if you can wait, me personally, if I needed to buy another house, I'd at least try to wait until the Fed begins cutting next year. Now, another way to look at this.
Okay, that is so wrong. So you don't want to lowball your offers. You're not going to get accepted. We are in a seller's market. You can probably get your closing costs paid, but you're going to have to make some concessions as a buyer. What we are seeing is buyers are a lot more picky when it comes to homes. They, for the last couple of years, they've been having to waive their inspections. Now they want their inspections back and they want repairs made. So in that way, you can get repairs done, you can get closing costs paid, but you cannot lowball. Okay, it's still a seller's market. There's still more buyers than there are sellers. So sellers can wait. Every single property that I've had listed, not necessarily that they've been good offers, but I've had multiple offers on every single property. And so if the seller doesn't like that offer, they can sit and wait. What does it hurt them? Okay. But you not buying because you lowballed an offer in 5 years, the amount that you lowballed versus what the actual value is, that'll be past. That could be way past that. So sometimes it is worth it to overpay. I'm not suggesting, okay, I'm a realtor. I know what you're thinking, but a lot of people get caught up in $5,000 or $10,000 here or there. It's more important to find something you can afford. And if you can get a good deal that you get your closing costs paid, maybe you get a good loan where you don't have a down payment. This is how you build wealth. Okay. And he's telling you, don't do it. You need to wait for it to come down. It's never going to be more affordable. Prices are not going to be like they were 10 years ago. Okay. We're well past that. That's never coming back. We probably will never see 3% interest rates ever again either. So historically, interest rates average around 9%. Okay. So they're high to us now because we've been spoiled over the last couple of years. But overall, they're still low historically. So the key here is finding something you can afford. All right, let's move on.
Actually reflective in your local market, because remember, this Black Knight report is national. It's looking at national prices, but real estate's hyper local, right? So it's possible things are different where you live. It's possible.
Okay, it's possible. It could be different where you live. Obviously, it is hyper local. He's right about that. So in places like Austin, I follow some agents there. They have a ton of inventory and not enough buyers. So prices are going down. And I think he's showing us a map here where prices are changing. In our area, prices are going up because of low inventory. It is supply and demand. There is no bubble. No bubble.
Well, most likely it's still a bad time to buy, but if you want to see just your local area, here's what you do. In Snap4's Real Estate Insights, we have all this data, these exact payment to income ratio numbers, but we drill it down locally, okay? So what we're looking at here is what we call our price to earnings map. Essentially the exact same thing as Black Knight's national payment to income ratio, but broken down locally. And we can see the markets, the counties that are currently super expensive are still relatively fairly priced, or rather priced similarly, to where they've been priced pre-2020 housing bubble. Now, if you want access to these maps yourself, I put the link in the description of the video. We have the newest data synced automatically from the big three real estate brokerages, Zillow, Redfin, Realtor.com. As soon as they release their newest data each month, it syncs automatically into our database. And this map, the more blue a county is, the more out of reach buying a house is for the typical resident of said county, okay? The more orange or red a county is, then the easier it is, the more affordable it is to buy a house for residents of that county. Now, right away, we can see clearly the markets that are completely out of reach for the typical home buyer, right? South Florida, for instance, forget about it, completely unaffordable, which is new, by the way. Take a look at Miami-Dade County, for example. Look at the PE ratio, or the payment to income ratio 4 years ago, back in 2019. It only took 7.5 years of the median household income to pay off your mortgage. Now it's over 12. Anything over 10 is considered like bananas, all right? Typical Miami-Dade household income is $59,200, and these home prices that we see here, these are Zillow's home values, not median sale price, but actual home values according to Zillow, which we know is far from accurate, as the median sale prices are falling virtually statewide in Florida, been falling for months now, but realize, a county like Miami-Dade is now virtually as expensive as LA County, and Los Angeles has always been notoriously...
All right, I'm gonna stop it right there. So the one part I am confused about is he's saying that things are so much more expensive because prices keep going up, 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 up. And then he's saying that prices are falling, falling, falling. So how is a home less affordable, how's a home less affordable if there's tons of job openings, you can get a high paying job and prices are coming down. So I feel like there's a disconnect. Maybe I'm not understanding him exactly. I understand what he's trying to say, but I'm trying to make logical sense of what he's saying because he's giving me two different data points here.
One of the most expensive counties in the country. LA has a P ratio of 12.2 right now, for instance, a price to earnings ratio, with a median household income out here at 75 grand. And since 2019, it's gotten 21% more expensive to become a homeowner in LA. But do you see the difference? Look, it's only gotten 21% more expensive in LA, but in Miami, it's gotten 45% more expensive since 2019. Now, we can actually sort the map, sort the data to use the percent change to color code the map to see which counties have gotten more expensive, show the counties that have grown unproportionally more than most, and the markets that, for whatever reason, have exploded in price and cost. Those are the areas that are likely to fall a lot as the change is unproportional, okay? Growing so outrageously high in such a short period of time. Let's see what that looks like. See the difference? California's always been expensive, right? And comparatively speaking, the payment income ratio didn't grow that much when compared to a state like Idaho, Tennessee, and Florida. Those three states, and Utah, actually. So Idaho, Tennessee, Florida, and Utah take the cake hands down. Not exactly having the highest P ratios, but having seen the cost to buy grow the most since 2019. I hope that makes sense. Now, another...
All right, stopping it there. So he's saying because these places grew exponentially more than their average, that this is the place where prices are going to drop. The part that he's missing is the reason why these places have higher prices is because there's an influx of people, an influx of demand outpacing the supply. So Idaho, for example, in certain areas, you had a bunch of people from California moving there, and it's pushed the prices up to where Idahoans can't afford to live there, basically. So I'm not exactly sure why he thinks there's a bubble. The prices didn't just go up because they went up there because there's a high demand. And there's still more people who want to move into these places than there is supply. I mean, nationally, in certain cities, supply is way more than demand. But nationally, our supply is really low. So that is what is driving the force. And I think a lot of people are missing that fact. And so they're thinking, oh, there's a bubble like there was in 2008. What happened in 2008 is there was a ton of supply. And then people lost their jobs and couldn't afford homes. Now, there's not a lot of supply, and there's a ton of job openings, a ton of opportunity. So it's literally completely opposite of what it was in 2008. Let's keep going.
Useful way, I just want to quickly point out to analyze this is the markets that are orange on both maps, specifically the Northeast. Orange, for the most part, on both of the maps means that they don't have a huge PE ratio currently, and since 2019, pre-bubble, the cost to buy didn't grow that much when compared to the median income. All right, I hope that video wasn't too technical and it didn't put anyone to sleep. I thought it was useful, though. I wanted to point it out, and hopefully you got something out of it. If you did, press the like button. If you didn't, that's all right, too. Either way, I appreciate you watching.
All right, so I'm not saying the information he provided was bad. I think he just is missing the context for why that information is the way it is. He's just reacting to the numbers rather than understanding why they are. So yeah, if you don't know why things are happening, that's scary. You should pause what you're doing. However, if you understand what's happening, you're making knowledgeable decisions, you're buying a home that you can afford, then you should absolutely do that. Because again, real estate is the #1 investment tool. It's going to give you financial freedom and security. So if you're in the Lewis County area, I can definitely help you. I can educate you on the market so you can make the informed decision. No pressure, no sales there. So up to you. Let me know what you think in the comments. Do you think he's full of it? Do you think I'm full of it? But just so you know, I'm going to comment back and I'm going to want to know why you think the way you think, if you think I'm full of it, because I'm looking at the stats. You can see my other videos on the channel and I go through the stats. I print them up there for you. I show you, I give you context. I give you years worth of data that you can follow. So all I do is report it and I'm telling you what's going on and why it is. I think a lot of people who report on these numbers, they don't give you context surrounding the data. So they have no idea why it is. They're freaking out. I don't know if he's selling anything. So this is great. It's just his opinion. He's doing what he thinks is a service. I would say be careful of people who tell you not to buy or who try to time the market. I tell all my clients timing the market is never a good thing. You're always going to lose. And so some people are like, well, I don't want to sell my home now because it's the next home I buy is going to be really expensive. Well, if you wait for the prices to come down on the next home, the price on your home is coming down too, so you have less to play with. So it's all relative, and you need a third party who can help you make these decisions and give you information for your specific situation, not national data on a YouTube video, which is kind of what I'm doing too. So anyways, my name is Eren Millam with Premier Property Group. And remember, never settle for less than extraordinary.